'22 Annual Conference and General Meeting at the Rock View Hotel Royal, Abuja. The hybrid event was a gathering of publishers, experts, scholars, practitioners, regulators, stakeholders, friends and partners in the publishing ecosystem. It was a time to review past achievements, assess the present, and make reasonable projections for the future. This year, the theme was Redefining Publishing and the Reading Culture in a Digital Era. The association is looking at how it can remain relevant using technology in resolving challenges and opportunities in the publishing industry. The keynote speaker, Professor A.K. Usman, spoke extensively on the fact that because of the perceived advantages of digital publishing, some traditional publishers are gradually shifting towards digital publishing, realizing they may not be able to make their businesses alive by continuing only with traditional publishing. He added that it seems more and more people are coming out in support of digital publishing.
But my happiness is that what they said, my paper actually is inclined to what they said. In fact, when I was given the theme of this particular gathering, redefining publishing and reading culture in a digital era, my thinking was even more of perhaps adapting or adopting the digital era, not even the issue of redefining, really. Because it is such that there is nothing anybody can do. The future has spoken to us through these children. And from the way the future is speaking, the chairman said here that in the university, in those days, they say you publish or you perish. I think we either go digital or we perish. So I think that is the spirit of the age. In fact, in any business, demands determine what? Supply. The demands we are going to, as publishers, we are progressively going to be getting is the demand of digital publication, digital printing. And so we have to meet that demand by the way we do business. And I'm happy. He said here that the publishers will not necessarily lose. You subscribe to newspapers these days. Before you access some magazines and newspapers, you pay. So nobody is really going to lose. The president, in his initial comments, said quite a lot of things that touched me. But I think of the things that he said, one entered my heart, and maybe to use the words of Chinua Achebe in A Man of the People. It not only entered my heart, it built a house there. What did he say? He said something on translation. I think this is something we should take serious. On that, I will link what he said with what the chairman who has left said. And I'm happy the MD of Evans, when he was given a gift to the chairman, he adverted to that. In fact, when he was talking, I thought maybe the message didn't sing. But from the comment of the MD of Evans, it seems that message sang. And what is the message? They need to follow up on the copyright bill that has been amended by the National Assembly, forwarded to the president. Politics operates by lobbying and follow up. If you don't follow up on things, frankly speaking, you will lose out. Now, I'll go back to a comment I made way back, I think, the early part of 2000 in one forum. University Press Ibadan has a forum for its authors. We used to meet there annually around June. I made a statement that time, and I'll make that statement still here. And why I'm making the statement again is there was no follow-up. And when I make it now, I would like it joined with what the chairman earlier said. There should be follow-up. What was the statement? That Nigeria Publishers Association should lobby and ensure that literature is made a compulsory subject in secondary school. That is the only way you can kickstart this issue of reading. From reading novels, from reading poems, from reading plays, children will develop interest in reading other works. In the US, and even in Canada that I'm more familiar with, the reading of literary works is like compulsory from secondary to university, whatever you are reading. In this era of reading going down, which we are all lamenting, I think we need to take this very serious. Now, well, we may say that reading culture is going down, but I was sharing with somebody yesterday that maybe that may not be true also. That it depends on what we are talking about, people are reading. It may very be that, people perhaps are even reading more now than before, given the way students, children handle this. Yeah, sometimes they do just listen to some stuff, that is TikTok or whatever. But there's a lot of reading going on using the phone. The issue then is, what are they reading really? How qualitative? How useful is that thing? I think that is the issue. It might not be necessarily that people are not reading, because I can see wherever you go, you see people looking through their phones. Go there, they are looking through their. So people are reading, but the issue is, what are they reading? Now, for them to read what we really want, or that will really improve their minds, then that earlier suggestion I made of making literature a compulsory subject is really going to be very helpful. Well, I was supposed to talk about publishing, but I think maybe the emphasis, even for the organizers of this particular occasion, is actually also their concern, as I understand it, is likely to be on reading. Because if you publish and it is not read, you are neither here nor there. Because the whole idea of publishing is to get people to read what you are publishing. Well, I'll just tell you a story to again to underscore the fact that people are not reading. British Council Library used to have British Council used to have a library in Kaduna along Yakubu Gawan Way. I used to be a member of that library. I used to borrow books there for 2 weeks, read them and return. One day I went there. The library was shut down. Why? They said Nigerians are not reading. So they packed the books and left. And I believe as the case was with Kaduna, was the case in other settings. Now, it's quite a very lamentable and sad thing. And the part of the negative fallout of this decline in the reading culture is the quality of people you have. You become developmentally by the exposure, the quality exposure you have enjoyed in life. And most of this quality exposure is through books. You might not have met Albert Einstein that you couldn't have anyway. But if you have read anything that Albert Einstein wrote, you have met him. In fact, his most quality aspect you have met. So you can meet virtually all the great minds across the world by reading their works. Now, those exposure levels that you have enjoyed are what eventually will determine your quality. And I said in one of my works that, a little digression, that if there's anything you go out of this world with, if it is possible for you to go out with anything, it must be your mind. And that mind, we don't have the same mind. We have the same heart. But the mind that you have depends on what you have been exposed to. Because a mind is something you acquire in the world. It's not something that is innate. No. You have a big mind if what you have been exposed to is big. And what you have been exposed to will be big only if you have read so much. It will be small if you have read little or nothing at all. Now, if it were possible for you to go out with it, should it not be what you should all your life struggle to develop, enlarge? So this reading culture, I would like us in this meeting to follow up on that suggestions that I made.
Meanwhile, the president and the chairman in council of the association, Chief Uchenna Sirio Anyoke, spoke on operational value, copyright issues, and what is to come in the future.
Welcome, my guests. The Executive Secretary had been kind enough to introduce them, but I'm sure he has not introduced everybody. But 2 days ago, I attended a conference or a seminar organized by Book Alliance, and I listened to the panelists talk about book supply, book chain. And when they were done, I said, you want to supply books, you want to make sure books are available. And those of us who have the duty, the enviable duty of producing the books, you have not sufficiently interacted with us. And I made a good joke. I said, the next academic sessions, publishers will go on strike. Now, since strike is the in thing in Nigeria, we will hold our books. We will ensure there's no books for the nursery, for the primary, the tertiary, and let us see who is more important in Nigeria. Right, Honorable, I don't know whether the parliamentarians are more important than us, because if you are answered, it has something to do with us. So, we are a critical sector in national development. We're actually the vehicle for which any progress can happen. We nourish the souls of our children, the young ones and the adults. And so if you're a player here and you're chief executive, I want to say thank you for being here today. And don't value yourself in pennies when actually you are worth a king's ransom. All publishers, you are worth a king's ransom, and you must never value yourself in pennies. Having said that, my job is simply to make welcome all the very important guests. I can see Barrister Zilo of NCC. Are you representing your guy, or is he on his way? Okay, he's coming. I want to be sure that John Essien will be here. Thank you for coming. My job is to say welcome. And in a very simple way, I can just say, like my old friend Zebudah would say, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. And I'll be done. But I think I will go a bit further than that. Because here is a class of men and women who put thoughts to paper and then get them published and get them to help educate and enlighten and entertain our country and beyond. So permit me to not really go through my address, but to speak to it in a manner that I will not take more time than is required for this welcome address. Well, let me say that indeed I'm honored. It is indeed an honor for me, coupled with a deep sense of duty and responsibility, and with profound gratitude to God Almighty. I welcome sincerely, on behalf of the Executive Council, Chief Executives of publishing firms, of MPA, all the very distinguished men and women who have found time, in spite of their busy schedule, to be here. We appreciate you in more ways than one. We are not taking your presence for granted, and we say, welcome. Dalo, no. I am, without missing words, grateful to all of you for finding time to be here. Now, let's talk about the theme, redefine publishing and reading culture in a digital era. And that is the theme. I just came back from Indonesia, Jakarta, where the International Publishers Association had their congress. And looking at our team, I found this almost in tandem with that of the IPA, which simply said, reading matters, embracing the future. And it was clear from that discussion, and we will see it presently today. I'm not preempting the big masquerade, that the pandemic had changed the way, the manner we do things, the manner we print, the manner we publish, the manner we disseminate, and the manner we read. And so nations, not just Nigeria, are working very hard, actually hard, to find ways and means of coping with the realities of times. And that's why this theme becomes germane, very important, redefining publishing and reading culture in a digital era. It's no longer bricks and mortar. We have to do things differently. And that's the job we have assigned very boldly to our guest speaker. And as has been said, our keynote speaker, who is he? Well, an author, an history scholar, a legal luminary, a literally excellent chairman of University of Basic Education, and he's no other than Prof. A.K. Usman. Can we appreciate him once more? Thank you very much, sir, for finding time to be here. One of the things I want to say here in trying to redefine this is that the experience I had in Indonesia showed that nations that publish books in their local languages, they have heads up much more than those who rely entirely on English language. And part of the things we are going to say here boldly is that the Nigerian Publishers Association are ready to partner with relevant authorities to begin to publish books in indigenous languages, from the nursery through the primary to the secondary and to the university level.
Assembled were best ends as panelists at the conference to discuss the theme.
I want to address the issue of hard copy, soft copy, electronic copy. We have come to embrace the digital age. In fact, we are now redefining publishing. The digital technology is a redefinition on itself. So what we are doing, what everyone has to do, is to adapt and to adopt whatever is possible and work on it. Bearing in mind also that the digital technology, the digital book, is driven by power, by electricity. And it is not always easy to have sustained electricity. So bringing the digital book to be does not in any way have any conflict with the hard copy book. They play their different roles. And of course, this is the digital age. The younger readers of this time are digital natives. Therefore, we have to meet them where they are. We have to approach them where they are. Bearing that in mind, while doing that, we also need to preserve the hard copy material. I am glad also our keynote speaker, Professor Usman, mentioned print on demand. While we are supplying virtually for the digital reader, we also have to make provision for retaining the hard copy, even if it is by print on demand. I rather think that it's a blessing. It is a solution because it is easier, it is less expensive to maintain a digital book, less expensive to review a digital book. It's also less expensive to even distribute a digital book. But again, while we are preparing for the digital reader, we will not lose sight of the fact that so many of our readers do not have access to the internet, do not have the capacity to carry the tablets and all. Therefore, they should run on a prorated basis until possibly the hard copy will phase out. But that's just a proposal. It may also not phase out. What I'm saying is that nothing is a threat. If anything, the digital technology has made publishing easier if only we will key into the right procedures. And it is not just a question of publishers or authors. It is a policy from the government to be able to provide the facilities that will make this possible. It's not a conflict at all.
When you look at the school system, especially the situation we are now, we discover that most students these days, they strictly read to pass. They are not reading maybe to develop themselves in future, but for the fact or for the benefit of the exam that they are going to write at that particular time, you discover that that is what they are all following. The truth about the issue is that if you look at our libraries these days, most students hardly go there because of the digital age. Most of them have their Android phone. When they get home, whatever they want to read concerning their subjects, they just Google it and then read it. And once there is any examination, and if it is for any examination, they will now come and give it. So in most cases, those books that were donated and they were there, these are the situation now because of the digital age. So students hardly read these days. So there are very, very few of them that do that. If not, if you go to all schools in FCT, the libraries are equipped. But what we are working toward now, what they are doing now is hybrid library, e-library is what is functioning now. If you come to my school and you go to the library, you hardly see students there. But if you go to e-library, you see them using computers and all forms of gadgets to access their information. And I think if those books are still there, these are some of the things that is drawing back the reading the main book published in secondary schools. Books are actually available. The recommended textbooks, just as our director has said, if you go to schools and as they are doing registration now, students are buying. But what's
they are buying the hard copies?
Yes, they are buying the hard copies, and we are using them.
How about
What,
the soft
and
copy?
this use, we are using it under strict supervision. Because what actually happened when they buy these hard copies, during lessons, the teachers make sure that they use it. And then the teacher guide them in using these things. But what I'm trying to say is simple. After the real lesson, or after the real lesson and after the prep, where we have teachers that are guiding them to make sure that they read these books, and then they will not have access to any internet at that particular time. The moment the school hour is over or the prep is over, whatever they do on their own, unlike in those days that we will go and find another place and be reading, they prefer the electronic way of reading. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
The book, according to Edison, is a patient that will never die. Whichever way you see it, the book will never die. He's talking of preservation. I think he said preservation. In Nigeria, I just want to tell us we are not actually after preserving the book. Because if you see the way libraries are built, we don't put in the preservative aspect into the structures. How many of you have looked at the National Library building, the one that is being constructed now? It's just like a hole barricaded with a brick. No window. If I've an opportunity to travel out of this country and I've seen the way they are constructing their libraries, even Library of Congress, occasionally you open the windows. You have acoustic treatment, both for the books and for the electronics. Thank you very much. But for National Library of Nigeria, presently, we are Nigerians. We have books. We have e-libraries. You know the cost of diesel. You know the cost of maintaining generators. We are not doing much to preserve what we have. The only thing we do is to make sure that they are clean, they are tidy. And occasionally, even during the COVID period, we go around to make sure that the windows are open so that our books will have a little bit of air. If you leave books without having air and light and being used, they become brittle. Thank you very much. Presently, National Library has a roadmap on how to ensure that schools make use of their libraries. I was the head of branch in Imo for so many years before coming here. We go to schools. We go to Ministry of Education. We encourage them to include a library hour. We have book clubs. I want to please, sir, books are not just there. They shouldn't just be bought and be wasted in the library. I was taken aback when you said students don't go to the library to read. If you include library periods, students will go there to read. Also, you have book clubs. We encourage them to use those books. You can just have a facilitator that will ensure that they take those books around, make sure they read it, occasionally come together to discuss them.
Interestingly, the Senate passed the Copyright Bill on April 6, 2022. In the same vein, the House of Representatives on Wednesday, 27th July 2022, also considered and passed the bill. While awaiting the final assent to the Copyright Bill by His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, the fight and the campaign against piracy is on. No doubt, with the usual cooperation of the Nigerian Copyright Commission.
I cannot overemphasize the importance of publishing. First and foremost, if people don't publish, I'm sure almost 100% of people here will be out of business. So you must publish. For professors, when I was in the university, they said that you publish or you perish. So it's very, very important. There are
assignment we've given up to ourselves, and for the sustenance of the business of publishing, for profit and for the benefit of mankind. As a matter of fact, if you don't provide a vehicle based on which people enhance their knowledge, then it will be difficult for the world to develop. As a matter of fact, it's a true reading, and publishers are the very, very important medium through which you bring down to that capacity to the public. It's a true reading that you can appropriate the world. You can travel all over the world without moving an inch, because through books you can see what happens in other cultures. And I'm a student of English, literary studies. And I also want to correct the introduction. I read English and literary studies. I also have a master's degree in business management. I also read law. I didn't read engineering. You know, now that we're in politics and we're trying to contest elections, I want to put a disclaimer. So, not accosted either by way of introduction or by way of keeping silent that I'm an engineer. But because of the work we did in Parliament when I was Chairman House Committee on Works, I have been honored, and I'm an honorary member of Nigerian Society, a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. That's the topmost position they have. So when I'm called an engineer, he should qualify it to be honorary engineer. Not that I read it in the University of Calabar. So what I read there, I read English, and I'm pleased with what I read. So, and in English, you can have the vocabulary, you can discuss anything, because we discuss vocabulary of professions. So I can talk proper engineering. So I'm happy that was, and the opportunity we've had to read books are the work done by publishers. So through publishing, you can export, you can appropriate, you can import ideas. For you who is reading, you are importing every idea you've seen around the world, and it's possible through publishing. For you who is publishing and sending out, or creating an idea and it is sent to other people, you are exporting. And it is to what use do you put those ideas? If we don't put those ideas to book, you can't stay in this building. Because that is how from caves we developed into societies where you can have air conditioners. So I want to thank you so much, and it is also good to protect your works. And in spirit and letter, we share this aspiration with you. And that is why we passed the amendment to the Copyright Act, and it's also been passed by the Senate. But the executives or the CEOs and the association and Mr. President should know that the job is not finished. When bills come to Mr. President, it is at his discretion to sign or not to sign. He might give it to agencies of government, MDAs, to vet, and he might return it. That is why the idea of lobbying is not giving any parliamentarian money. The idea of lobbying is to get across to convey your ideas. So I think you need to follow up. That is what other people do. So that when people who are not seized of the facts of an act or any amended bill or any bill that is sent to Mr. President, you'll be in a position to educate them and see how it can improve our common interest. So I think your job is not finished. And if you need any assistance, you can meet the management of National Assembly so that they can also help you know where the bills are. And if it's passed since July, Mr. President, as per our law, has a limited time based on which he signs. Otherwise, it will just expire by operation of law. So I think you need to fast track, you need to follow up, know when it is sent. And we in the Parliament are willing, able to work with you at any point in time. They say if you want to change anything, your operating environment, you must know your legislator. If you want to operate in your local setting, you must know your councillor. So that when they want to make laws in council, they can propose edicts and say anybody who generates waste will go by hanging. They can make any, but you need to, if you want to stop waste generation in your environment, or enhance cleaning, or enhance maintenance of roads, you approach your legislator. That is their job. So when you want to alter your circumstance in MPA regarding Nigerian laws, you come and know your legislator. And that is the interface we are presently having. And we will all be richer for it. We know what you do, and you know also what we do. And by so doing, the common good through publishing will be established.
This is what stakeholders and partners are to say in their goodwill messages.
Please come forward for your goodwill message. Very briefly. No matter how brief, we must take a message from him. That's the Director General of Nigerian Copyright Commission. Let's keep clapping until he gets the microphone.
The book means so much to any society. And I'm happy to hear that no matter how digital we go, the physical book will likely be with us for a very long while. But given my goodwill after the last panel discussions and what appeared to be almost an upheaval towards the end, I will pick my words carefully. But from the Nigerian Copyright Commission, we acknowledge that copyright has always been, is, and will always be at the intersection of the different divides in the book ecosystem. And it's important for us to realize that between the publisher and the reader, there could be a bookseller. Between the publisher and the reader, there could be a printer. Between the publisher and the reader, there could be also a librarian. Publishers must have assurances. The Nigerian Copyright Law, the new bill, which we are awaiting the assent, provides clearly for these demarcations, provides safeguards. But there's nowhere in the copyright law that piracy, in whatever form, under whatever guise, in whatever coloration, at whatever level, should ever be excused or should ever be accepted. Because what I believe, sorry madam, the gentleman that sells a book for 900 naira is making profit. And is making profit at the expense of the publisher and invariably the author. So by giving me a book for now 900 naira, he's not doing me a favor as such. If he is, he's not doing society a favor. I will say pirated materials. We should never condone it. Sooner or later, it will eat up the system. Unless you have never authored a book, that's when you will glorify a pirate who brings down prices because he thinks that book was too expensive. Like I always say, if my book is too expensive, please go and write your own. And you'll find a buyer. So having said that, I will just, as a way of the goodwill, just a few things to say that. First, I thank Prof for the wonderful and very stimulating keynote. And I think we should continue this conversation at different levels to look at what needs to be done in a digital environment.
This theme is a very good one and is very, very timely. And it is in the right direction too, given the fact that we are all in digital era and the need to promote healthy reading culture, especially among the youths and school children, cannot be overemphasized. We all know that the declining factor of the reading culture all over the world and especially in Nigeria. We are all aware of that.
On April 25, 2023, we will be hosting the Lagos Book Walk, a public advocacy event to remind everyone in Lagos and indeed Nigeria that reading is too important to be trifled with. As an eminent stakeholder in the books and reading ecosystem, and indeed one whose members such as Onibonoje Books had set up the Onibonoje Book Club and other book clubs as far as 1970s, we believe that the Nigerian Publishers Association should yet be at the forefront of these campaigns. So we are calling on you all to help us, not only to publish the books and to leave it there, to reach out to us. How can we work together to make sure that these books are read? Part of the discussions at the panel side were regarding the fact that some books are in bookshelves and they are yet left unread. So we really would like to say that it really takes a culture, a village to raise a culture. We'd like to invite the NPA and every publisher that can to really come on board as part of the network.
Dr. Olushi Kalu just said the book is a dying patient. But it will not, it's a patient that will never die. As at now, booksellers are also patients in the hands of the publishers. I want to appeal that you don't let this patient die. Not only that will not die, we want to also survive. We've been talking in recent years, but we are just talking year in, year out, no action. Let us walk the talk, so that it will be better for all of us. We are talking about piracy. Piracy tried because we are broken the book chain. Let's go back to basics. Let's restore the book chain. Let author rights. Let publisher publish and promote. Let booksellers sell. And I also want publishers to also print locally so that our local printers will also have work to do. So let's work together and restore the book chain.
Indeed, redefining publishing and reading culture in a digital era. It's something that at this critical point of our national life, it's something we cannot shy away from. And I think some of the things or some of the keynotes address that we've listened to have captured this very important topic. Summarily, the DG of the Copyright Commission also said it. One of the panels, or the panel member, also mentioned it. It's something we cannot shy away from, the issue of piracy. But I think it's something that we have to collectively, every one of us, all of us involved in the value chain of publishing, need to collectively fight this disease. And of course, we will be the better for it.
Space. I confess, however, that I still belong to the old school who prefer hard copies. I confess that for me, reading is about the smell of the book. I enjoy reading, but we cannot take for granted what is happening in the digital space, and we must evolve. Even at ICMC, we have embraced the digital era, and now we conduct a lot of our trainings online and provide digital reading content for our participants. This is indeed the way to go, especially taking into cognizance the fact that if we must revive the reading culture, as it's been argued, we must aim to capture the interest of the millennials and Gen Z, who are only inclined to resort to the use of the digital space. And so I endorse everything that has been said. My personal view is that we have to find ways to encourage our children, and whether it is by giving them tablets, whether it's also by giving them smartphones, but there is a caveat. Unsupervised access can create problems.
Coming to redefinition, it means the publishers have come to know that the Internet of Things had come with us. You might criticize the downside of the social media, but the truth of the matter is that he had come to live. He had come to stay with us. We in Voice of Nigeria, initially when I came, I told them, how far have you gone? They said, no. Okay, don't go there. We're radio. I said, no. And a little elementary study had shown that there are about 6 time zones on Earth. And in those 6 time zones, in about 5 of them, you rarely see anybody with transistor radio listening to radio or even shortwave. The least you see is the shortwave that are in their cassettes and in their vehicles. Therefore, we must go digital.
Other matters attended to were world presentations and recognitions of some personalities and organizations that have been of immense help to the industry.
Thinking that we should have a very robust relationship with you. This year, participation is maybe the first, it will not be the last. Thank you very much.
To protect the industry. So on behalf of all stakeholders that are gathered here, it's my pleasure to present this to Colonel Hamid Ibrahim Ali, retired, for your contributions to the publishing and protection of copyright in Nigeria. Congratulations.
Of the member firms and everyone in Nigerian Publishers Association, we present this to you, Dr. Asien, for the wonderful job we are doing and for the ones you are going to do in future. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Performance from secondary school students added color to the event.
It was Aristotle I taught. Today I am an adventurer on the treasure hunt. Tomorrow I'll walk down the Hall of Fame of sports. Because if life is like a book, then books are lives. A man who reads lives 1,000 lives. An ambassador, pastor, doctor, or saint. A world filled with possibilities awaits on every page. Oh, how banal is a man who doesn't read?
The more you read, the more you know. Tell me of great men in history who never read to become great in life. One of the greatest men in the world was once told, read in the name of your Lord who created you. God is the author of knowledge. He who seeks God seeks knowledge. Readers are leaders. Read for the future. Read to get to the tallest building.
Immediately. But I catch a glimpse of my handset and had a change of mindset. I then realized I had to re-choose what I was going to lose. Was it the pleasure of my screen or the knowledge of my book that forever remains green? If only I can understand the great chance I stand. Oh, how the thought of digitality clouds my thinking of possibility. Keeping up a steady pace will surely be a difficult phase, but in order to win the race, My books I must surely embrace, and the distractions of digitality I must not allow to devour my opportunity. Thank you.
The Nigerian Publishers Association is a not-for-profit organization. It has been a collective voice of publishers in Nigeria for 57 years. The association provides a forum through which publishers deliberate on various issues affecting the publishing industry and the book trade at large.